Okay, so we'll start on our backs. So come to your mat. Settle in a comfortable position on your back. You might have knees bent, perhaps with the knees resting together, soles of the feet on the mat. Maybe see how it feels to take the feet wide as the mat so the knees can rest together, or you might have legs outstretched. Just settling into a position where you can start to allow the back body to release into the ground a little more. Making any final adjustments physically, any final movements. And coming to stillness, closing the eyes or softening the gaze. And just starting to use the breath to help you bring your awareness inwards. Start to use your exhales to increase that sense of the back body softening and spreading into the ground. Start using your inhales to explore space in the body. Maybe exploring the spaces in the front of the body here. If it feels helpful and welcome to extend the length of the inhale and the exhale a little, then you could do that now, helping you to explore softening and release on the exhale, space on the inhale. And now bringing your attention more fully to your breath. So letting go now of any sense of controlling the breath. Allowing your breath to return to its normal, natural rhythm. Seeing if you can drop into that place from which you can observe the breath. Just noticing without judgment, thinking of yourself as an interested observer of your own breath. And just noticing, observing the mind as well, in that same way, without judgment. Perhaps noticing each time the mind is distracted away from the breath. Just seeing if you can allow the mind to let go of, release any distractions, at least for now. You might need to come back to them later, but right now letting those go, gently guiding your mind's attention back to your breath. If you want to set an intention for your practice today, then just take a moment to do that now. Just seeing if anything comes up for you. Might be something quite clear that you have in mind. It might be in the form of an affirmation. I'm letting go, I'm calm. Let's see if anything comes up for you, and just take a moment to set that intention now. Okay, so if you haven't already, now let's bend the knees, bring the soles of the feet onto the mat. Bring the soles of the feet together. So soles of the feet are still on the mat, but the feet are alongside each other. So inner edges of the feet are touching, knees are together. And just take a moment to check in with the back of your neck. Is there any scope to maybe draw the chin down a little more to keep the back of the neck long? So not that the chin needs to be tucked right in, but just checking also that the back of the neck stays long here. Have your arms alongside the body, and maybe if it feels okay for your shoulders and your neck, then you might rotate the upper arms so that the inner creases of the elbows are facing up towards the ceiling. And in doing so, just encouraging the shoulders to release down into the ground a little more, encouraging a little more broadness across the heart, the front of the heart space from shoulder point to shoulder point. Take an inhale here. And then as you exhale, start to allow the knees to draw out to the side. So we're coming into our Baddha konasana. So allow your weight to come over onto the outer edges of the feet. Soles of the feet can rest gently together. Just inviting a gentle opening around the groins and the hips. If you feel any discomfort in the lower back, see how it feels to take the feet a bit further away from you. You could also take some support underneath the lower back, just something small like a pair of socks sort of balled up together might be enough just under the small of the back. Equally, if you feel, if it feels good and welcome to perhaps encourage a bit more opening around the groins, then you might see how it feels to bring the feet a little closer in towards the body. And we're just taking a gentle easing out. There's nothing to strive for here. So that's only an invitation if that feels really welcome in the body. Just settling in here for a few rounds of breath now. And if it feels okay for you, then exploring lengthening the breath. And as you inhale now, see if you can really find a sense of the heart space, the chest expanding here. Feeling the chest, feeling the lungs inflate and the chest lift on the inhale. And as you exhale, just a sense of gentle softening of the whole front of the body. Everything softening down a little more. Keep going with your inhales and your exhales in this way. Lengthened inhales and exhales if that feels okay. So on the exhales, there's a feeling of the front body softening into the back body. And perhaps also you could nurture a sense of the back body softening and spreading, releasing into the ground a little more. So you're inhaling into that space across the chest, maybe feeling a sense of not only lift in the chest, but perhaps visualizing a sense of expansion from the center of the chest radiating outwards. Exhaling, feeling a softening in the whole front of the body, back of the body, releasing, spreading into the ground. Taking a few more rounds of breath like this. Okay, and then letting that breath go, just taking a moment to allow your breath to return to its natural rhythm. This is a really nice, the practice we've just taken there is a really nice supported way of inviting some energy into the body whilst conserving energy. So particularly if practicing in hot weather, for example, or for any reason you need, what's right for you is to conserve some energy, then you can still undertake some energizing practices. So here in this position, we've got the heart space, that energizing area of the body, nice and open but supported. And still plenty of scope for softening and release, particularly with the hips open here. Okay, so taking your hands to the outside of your thighs, use an inhale to draw the knees back together, soles of the feet on the mat again. And then take your feet out wider. So soles of the feet are still on the mat, knees are still bent. Feet are wider than hip width, so probably somewhere between hip width and the width of the mat. And if it feels nice having the arms in that rotation, the kind of mountain pose rotation I'd describe it as, with the elbow creases facing up, then by all means keep that in place to keep some broadness across the chest. And then we'll take some windscreen wiper movements from side to side. Invitation today to notice opportunities where you might explore slowing your practice down, slowing your movement down. So in these windscreen wiper movements, if you don't usually, well, either way, if you don't usually or if you do, then I'd invite you to use an exhale to draw the knees over to one side. Then inhale back to center. Then exhale over to the other side. Inhale back to center. So taking it at your own pace of breath. But if this is something that you'd normally take at a slightly quicker pace, and just really focusing on that movement with the breath, exhaling, releasing the knees to one side, inhaling back to center. Just inviting and easing out of the hips here. Continue with that for a few more rounds of breath. Okay, and then coming back to center. Knees are still bent, soles of the feet on the mat. Bring the feet to hip width apart now. So feet are fairly close up towards the bum, but, a comfortable position. Okay. Just bring your attention to your feet for a moment and just have a little bit of a play around with pressing the feet into the mat a little more. Perhaps see how it feels to really push down through the balls of the feet, and then bringing weight down through the heels, perhaps lifting the toes up off the mat and replacing them. Just really connecting with the feet here and really establishing that connection between the feet and the ground. Getting a bit more active with the feet. And now press more firmly through the left foot. So you're active through the left foot, almost as if you're pressing into the left foot, as if you're trying to kind of stand up through that left foot. Become lighter on the right foot. Option here, if you want to do a little bit of work with the abdominal and lower back muscles, to see if you might actively draw the lower back down into the mat a little more, drawing navel in towards spine to help with that. This can also be a nice way of protecting the lower back, but also working on strengthening it. Keep pressing down through the left foot. And then as you next inhale, pick the right foot up off the mat. And on your exhale, let the right knee draw in towards your chest. So keep your arms alongside you here for a moment. Just let the natural weight of the leg, of the knee, draw in towards the chest. And then you can take your hands, if this feels good, you can take your hands around your right shin and use your next exhale to see if the right knee might draw in towards you a little more. You could just have it drawing slightly to the side, so it's more in the direction of your right armpit. That gives a bit more space to just bring a deeper bend to that hip joint. Keep pressing down through the left foot, maybe that drawing down of the lower back and the navel. A couple more breaths here. Okay, and then we're going to come to a figure of 4 here with the right leg. So moving your right ankle over towards the left so that you can then bring your right ankle to rest on the front of your left thigh, and start to flex your right foot so the toes are as if the toes are trying to draw back towards the right knee, and that will help to protect the knee here. As you bring your right ankle to rest on your left thigh, yeah, just make sure it's somewhere on the thigh rather than coming onto the knee. Take your right hand and place it on your right thigh. Left arm can just be resting alongside you. On your next exhale, start to explore drawing the right knee out and away from you. So you can use that presence of the right hand on the right thigh to help encourage an easing of the right knee away from you, but you're not, kind of getting any muscular action involved in really pushing the thigh away from you with the hands. It can just help support that action. So we're looking to bring a little bit of sensation here to the right hip, easing out through the right hip. So if, as you draw the right knee away from you, keeping the right toes flexed, you're not feeling anything there, then you might want to just get onto the ball of your left foot and wriggle the left foot towards you a little more, so that you can then comfortably use both hands to reach around the back of the left thigh, pick up the left foot, and maybe explore drawing the left knee towards you a little more. But keep drawing that right knee out and away from you. So a combination then of drawing the left thigh in towards you, the right knee out away from you. Hopefully you reach a point where you start to feel a bit of sensation in that right hip. So we're not looking for anything intense, just a bit of sensation that you can then breathe into. And as you exhale, see if you can find a sense of releasing and softening through that right hip. Just a few more breaths here. So there's no need to pick up the left foot or draw the left thigh in towards you if you're already feeling that sensation with the foot down. It's not a more advanced or better version of the pose. The best version of the pose is the one that serves you best in your practice today. So just finding that sensation in the hip, breathing into it, breathing out to find a sense of softening and release. Okay, if you've got the left foot lifted, then use an exhale to let the left foot come down. And then as you next inhale, just raise the right foot up a moment. So you don't need to straighten the leg, but draw the right foot up a little, so as if the sole of the foot is trying to reach up towards the ceiling. Let it come over, back over towards the right, and then use an exhale to replace the right foot back on the mat. Just pause here for a moment, knees still bent, soles of the feet on the mat, and just take a moment here to notice. Notice how the body feels. So there's no right or wrong here, just noticing, does the right side and the left side, do they feel different, the same? And then preparing to take the same on the other side. So as always, when we're taking something one side, then the other, just watching out for the mind racing ahead here, for the ego mind wanting us to just hurry into the physical position. Just taking the time to experience, to find that inner experience at each stage. So really pressing down through the right foot now, taking a moment to find or reconnect with that sense of the connection between the foot and the ground there. Maybe drawing lower back into the mat, navel in towards spine to help support you here as well. Just checking with the back of the neck as well. Is that still long? Do you need to adjust the position of the chin at all? And then when you're feeling really light on the left foot, use an inhale to pick the left foot up. So arms are still alongside you. And an exhale to let the knee draw in towards you. So just allowing the weight of the leg to fit, to let the knee draw in towards you. And then you could take the hands around the left shin and just explore easing the knee in towards you a little more, making it slight in the direction of the left armpit, if that feels helpful for bringing a bit of a deeper bend into that hip joint. Keep pressing down through the right foot, drawing the lower back and the navel in, if that's available to you. If you can soften through the shoulders a little as well on your next exhale. Okay, and then releasing the hands down, and then starting to come into your figure of four position. So take your left foot over towards the right, start to flex the left foot as well, so toes are drawing back towards the left knee, and bring the left ankle to rest on the right thigh. So just bringing it wherever feels comfortable, and just staying away from the knee. And then keeping the right arm alongside you, bring the left hand to rest on the left thigh. And on your next exhale, start to explore drawing the left knee out and away from you. Keep the left toes flexed. And just take a few breaths here. If you lifted the foot, the opposite foot when you're on the other side, just take a few breaths here to notice how it feels on this side. It might feel quite different. You might find that sensation that is already there in the left hip. If it isn't, then you could explore now just shuffling the right foot towards you a little more, and then using an inhale to lift the right foot up, taking the hands around the back of the right thigh, and maybe drawing the thigh in towards you a bit more, but keep the left knee drawing out and away from you. Also, particularly if you've got your hands around the back of the right thigh, see if you can use your exhales to encourage a softening of the shoulders down into the mat a little more. Taking a few more breaths here. Inhaling into the left hip. Exhaling, seeing if you can find a sense of a little more release, softening through that left hip. And then if you've got the right foot raised, just release the hands from behind the right thigh and exhale the right foot down. And then use an inhale to release the left ankle from the right side, drawing the left foot up a little, so the sole of the foot is kind of drawing up towards the ceiling and drawing it over, back over to the left. And then use an exhale to replace the left foot on the mat. And again, just take a moment here, take a moment to notice, just noticing how the body is here, notice what's going on in the mind, the breath. Okay, and then we're going to make our way up to sitting. So if it feels okay for you, you could roll over onto one side now. And then push yourself up to sitting from there, or coming up to sitting in whatever way feels right for you. And we will meet in Sukhasana. So just taking a moment to settle in your Sukhasana. Okay, so settling in your Sukhasana. And just from here, easing out through the neck. So let's inhale and draw the chin over towards the right shoulder. Exhale back to center. Inhale, the chin over to the left shoulder. Exhale, back to center. Keep going like this with your own breath, matching the movement to the breath. And if it feels comfortable, you could close your eyes here, or at least soften your gaze so that you're encouraging your focus to come inwards. So as you inhale over to one side, you're noticing how the opposite side of the neck feels, noticing any tension, any sense of opening or stretch. And just noticing as you move the neck one side to the other, perhaps really noticing all the movements of the tiny muscles in the neck. If it feels good to pause, if you get to any particular point where you feel like there's a nice stretch going on, or you've reached a point of tension where it feels helpful to pause and breathe into that, so that as you breathe out, you encourage a sense of just softening and releasing a little more, then you could do that. And then coming back to center. If it feels okay, so we'll take some repetitions of drawing the ears down to the shoulders one way, then the other way. If it feels okay for your arms and your shoulders and your neck, then you could get the arms involved in this, but optional, you can leave the arms down if that feels better. So if you want to get the arms involved, then inhale, sweep the right arm out to the side and up. As you exhale, bend the right elbow, bring the right hand to rest on the left side of the head. On your next inhale, see if you can draw the right elbow up a little more. And then as you exhale, so whether you've got the arm involved or not now, exhale and draw the right ear down towards the right shoulder. At the same time, see if the right shoulder can soften down away from the ear. So we're inviting a stretch into the left side of the neck. We're pausing here for a few breaths. So breathing into the left side of the neck, noticing any areas of tension or any areas where you feel like there's some opening and stretch going on. As you exhale, can you soften through both shoulders? Soften through the face, the jaw. Also using your exhales to check in with your sit bones here, check in with your rootedness. So maybe see if on the next exhale you can have a sense of that exhale, softening the shoulders, coming all the way down the body, down to the sit bones softening and spreading a little more. Okay, and then inhaling back up to center. If you've got the arm involved, then sweep the right arm back up, fingertips reaching up. And then exhale the right arm out to the side and down. On your next inhale, if you're using the arms, sweep the left arm out to the side and up. Exhale, bend at the elbow, left hand comes to rest on the right side of the head. Inhale, can you draw the left elbow up a little more? And then on an exhale, draw the left ear down towards the left shoulder. Let the left shoulder soften down and away from the ear at the same time. So that the presence of the hand on the side of the head isn't there to push or force the left ear down more, or to push or force the head over to the side more. Simply there as a gentle presence to maybe help explore, encourage a little more easing of the left ear towards the shoulder, a little more easing and opening of the right side of the neck. Breathe into the space that you've created in the right side of the neck. As you breathe out, can you soften a little more, soften through the shoulders? Maybe feel that softening coming all the way down the body, down through to the sit bones. And then inhale, back up to center. If you've got the arms involved, sweep the left arm up. And then exhale, sweep the left arm out to the side and down. Lovely. Okay. So on your next inhale, sweep both arms out to the sides and up if that feels okay. So you can skip this if you want to give your arms and shoulders a bit of a break on your practice today. Take a couple of breaths here. So whether you've got arms raised or not, use your inhales to see if you can find a little bit more lift to the chest, and also start to find a sense of the side body lengthening here. So as if the waist is lifting up and out of the top of the hips here. Take one more inhale. As you exhale, start to draw round towards the right. And then drop the arms down if you've got the arms raised. Right hand comes to rest by the right hip. Left hand can be resting wherever feels comfortable. Take an inhale, see if you can find that lift in the chest again. Find a bit more length in the side body again. As you exhale, can you soften through the right shoulder a little more, perhaps encouraging an easing of the body round to the right, of the chest round to the right a little more. And you could explore here. So very often when we work with these twists, we're working with the abdominal area as well and the lower back, trying to really keep the abdomen and the chest in line with each other. So by all means, work with that if that feels good for you. That's a really, really good practice to have for your twists. But equally, in your practice today, maybe see how it feels to just let the chest and the upper back ease round a little more. So just watch out for the ego mind here. It's not an invitation to strive around to your maximum, but if it feels nice to just invite a little bit more opening across the chest here, then you could perhaps let the chest and the upper back draw around a little more here. Still stay firm around the abdomen and the lower back, so drawing navel in towards spine can really help with that. Exhaling, can you soften through the right shoulder a bit more? And then inhale back round to center, sweeping the arms up if you're getting the arms involved. Couple of breaths here, so whether arms are raised or not, again, try and come to that sense of lift in the chest, length in the side body. Taking one more inhale, and then exhaling round to the left. So easing round gently first, so even if you're going to, and just drop the arms down if you've got them raised, left hand to the left hip. Even if you're going to invite a bit more opening around the chest and the upper back, just not racing ahead to that. So just feeling your way into the twist on this side. It might feel quite different to the other side. Use each breath to explore, to really notice, to feel from the inside how the body is here in this position today. See if you can draw navel in towards spine a little more. And then maybe you might explore the chest, the upper back releasing round a bit more. Maybe not, just seeing what feels right for you. You use your exhales to soften, particularly through the left shoulder. And then inhaling back to center, maybe sweeping the arms up. Exhale, release the hands down. We'll take a few cat-cow movements from seated to mobilize the spine. Invitation here to change the cross of the legs in Sukhasana. Make that adjustment, make any adjustments to any props that you're using to support you. And then bring the hands onto the shins. So it might both be on the front shin, might be on one shin each. But so you want the hands kind of equal distance away from the midline, but they're closer in towards the midline than shoulder width. As you inhale, use the press of the hands against the shin to help you draw the shoulders back and down to create space for the chest to draw up. Tailbone draws back. As you exhale, keep that grip on the shins, but allow your shoulders to really round forwards, draw navel in towards spine to draw the middle of the spine back. So there's, and let the chin drop as well. There's a sense of coming onto the back of your sit bones here. So there's a slight shift in weight. So inhaling, coming back onto the sort of frontal center of the sit bones as you draw shoulders back, chest drawing up, tailbone drawing back. Exhaling, rounding the shoulders forwards, navel in towards spine, spine drawing back, tailbone drawing forwards, chin dropping towards the chest. Take a few more rounds like this at your own pace. Maybe seeing if you can extend the length of the inhale and the exhale, matching your movement to your breath. Okay, and then coming back to stillness. So we'll make our way up to mountain pose. I'm inviting you today to take your practice a little, to explore taking your practice a little more slowly, a little more gently. But of course, this is your practice. If you feel that taking a flow to come up to mountain pose, as we might often do via downward dog and a forward fold, please feel free to do that now. But I'd invite you to explore how it feels, to notice how it feels not to do that. Maybe today, maybe you come back to this practice another time and do it that way. So making your way in whatever way you want to up to mountain pose, and just knowing that we'll meet at the front of our mats in mountain pose. So no hurry to get there, take your time, and just knowing that once you've found your mountain pose, so you're taking a few moments here to settle in to your mountain pose physically, giving yourself those physical prompts to settle into mountain pose, and then closing your eyes or softening your gaze. Starting to then use your breath to find your inner experience of being in mountain pose, using inhales to find length and space, using exhales to find a sense of release and grounding. Okay. So from your mountain pose, bring palms of the hands together in front of the heart. Take a moment, if you set an intention at the start of your practice, to recall that intention now. Opening your eyes. As you inhale, sweep the arms out to the sides and up. Exhale, fold forwards, coming into your forward fold. Inhale to a halfway lift, shoulders drawing back, chest drawing forward. Exhale, fold forward, bend the knees as much as you need to so that you can plant both hands on the mat so they'd be just in front of and slightly wider than the feet. Palms of the hands pressing down into the mat. Take an inhale here. Start to push the mat away from you with your hands a little more if you can. On your next exhale, draw the right foot back, drop the back knee. We're coming into a low lunge. And just come up onto your fingertips for a moment here. Take an inhale just to bring a little bit more space and scope for bringing a lift to the chest, but also use a moment or two here to just check in with the back leg. So we're wanting to feel something around the right groin and the front of the right thigh. Feel a gentle stretch. So not overdoing it too much, but we want to feel something here. So if you're not feeling anything, then if it's available to you, then maybe see if you can just draw the knee a little further back. So you might want to tuck the back toe, lift the knee and shuffle the foot back and then replace. So just explore there for a moment. If it's tough on the knee, then a simple thing to do is to bend is to fold the side of the mat over to give you a bit more cushioning. Of course, if you have a blanket or a thin cushion you can place under your knee, then feel free to use that. So you could either stay here in your low lunge here, or if it feels okay for you and feels welcome to you in your practice today, then you could use your next inhale to press into the front foot and draw the chest forwards and up, so you're bringing the body up. Bring your hands onto your hips. And on your next exhale, so if you've drawn yourself up, what you might find is that on your next exhale, there might be scope to release the hips, the pelvis down a little more. Take a couple more breaths here. You can either have the back toes tucked or have them down, whatever feels best, particularly whatever feels best for the knee. Either stay here, or for the last few breaths, you might inhale, sweep the arms up. If you want to bring a little bit more openness to the chest, working with the heart space. So lunges can be a really nice way of accessing a bit of energy, but again, we can still conserve energy here. So this is the most kind of energetic version, as in we're expending more energy here, but still inviting energy into that opening in the heart space. This, we're still inviting all that energy opening into the heart space, but with a little less energetic output. If we're here, again, we're still inviting that opening in the heart space as well as opening out through the hips. So just exploring what feels right for you. And then if you're raised up, then if you've got the arms raised, then exhale, bring the hands back down onto the hips. Take an inhale, and then exhale, draw the chest forwards and down. Plant both hands now, so palms of the hands are flat on the mat now. Tuck the back toes if they're not already. Have that sense of pushing the mat away from you with your hands. Fingers are spread wide as you inhale the back knee up. And then exhale, draw the front foot back, draw the hips up and back, coming straight into your downward dog. Either staying in downward dog for a few breaths here, or you could lower the knees, draw the bum back to the heels, forehead to the mat, coming to an extended child's pose. So whatever feels best for you to pause here and really check in with the body. Inhaling to find a bit more lift in the hips, pushing the mat away from you with your hands. So there's a sense of lengthening the spine, but also lengthening the side body here. As you exhale, can you find a sense of the chest softening towards the knees a little more? Perhaps if you're in downward dog, perhaps you might pedal the feet a little to bring a bit more opening to the backs of the legs, if that feels good. Okay. And we're going to come into a forward fold now. So coming up to downward dog if you're not there already. And then start to walk your hands back towards your feet. Keep your hips lifted. Allow the weight to come down into the heels, to come down more fully into the feet. Once they are, just let the hands go, the arms, the shoulders, the head, the neck all hang heavy. On your next inhale, can you bring a bit more lift to the hips? Maybe draw navel in towards spine, creating more space for you to then let the upper body release here. Let it go. So we're letting gravity help us in finding a sense of lengthening the spine here. We're letting gravity help us find softening and release through the shoulders, the neck. A few more breaths here. Okay. And then bring your hands onto your hips. Have a bend in the knees as you inhale, draw the chest forwards and up. Exhale, release. Lovely. Okay, so we'll take that sequence on the other side, so we can take the lunge on the other side. So you can either step back to the front of your mat, or depending on how you're orientated in the room, you could mix it up a little and simply turn around so that you're at the other starting, you've made the back of your mat the front of your mat. Either way now, just settle into your mountain pose for a moment. Bring palms of the hands together, close the eyes or soften the gaze. Just take a moment to notice the breath, the mind. Opening the eyes. Inhale, sweep the arms up. Exhale, fold forwards. Inhale to halfway lift, shoulders draw back to create space for the chest to draw forwards. Exhale, fold forwards, bend the knees as much as you need to so you can plant both hands on the mat. Take a breath here. Inhale, see if you can have a sense of pressing the mat away from you a little more with your hands. On your next exhale, draw your left foot back. Drop your back knee. And then come up onto your fingertips. Use an inhale to press the mat away from you with your fingertips a little more to help bring a bit more lift to the chest. And also use a moment or two here to make any adjustments to your lunge so you feel like you're inviting an opening into that left groin, the left thigh. Also to bring any support that you might need for the back knee. Come back to the breath, using the inhale to find that lift in the chest. So although it might feel a bit more constricted here than when we're higher up in our lunge, use the breath to help you. And to help you work more deeply here. So actually you're working more deeply and subtly here. It's kind of easier when you're lifted up higher. You know, you can let the body do the work, but here you're kind of coming to the breath, to the mind, to really help you find that sense of spaciousness and lift in the chest. So either staying here, or you might on your next inhale, draw the chest forwards and up, bringing hands onto the hips. As you exhale, can you let the hips, the pelvis descend a little more, release down. There's a weightiness there and a groundedness, rootedness to the pelvis and the hips. They might not be in contact with the ground, but they're drawing down towards the ground, helping you find more stability here. If you've got hands on the hips, then you can use that to help you draw the shoulders back and down a bit more, to then bring a bit more lift to the chest on the inhale. Either staying here or inhaling the arms up. Maybe see how that feels. So you could take a few breaths here and then come back to hands on hips, just exploring here. Exploring, finding opening across the chest, but in a way where you're inviting energy in and not expending so much energy. If you've got the arms raised, then exhale, bring the hands back down onto the hips. Take an inhale, and then exhale, draw the chest forwards and down, plant both hands, so the palms of the hands are back down on the mat now. Tuck the back toes. Try and have that sense of pushing the mat away from you with your hands, and use your next inhale to draw the back knee up. Exhale, draw the front foot back, lift the hips up, coming into your downward dog. Option here to draw the knees down on your next exhale and come into your extended child's pose. And either way, pausing for a few breaths, for a good few breaths here, exploring, breathing into the space that you can find here. So if you're in downward dog, you could continue exploring, finding spaciousness in the front of the heart space across the chest. Exhaling, finding where you might release a little more. So again, if you're in downward dog, that might be a sense of the chest softening and releasing towards the thighs, towards the knees. Maybe letting the head hang a little heavier. If you're in extended child's pose, then you might explore the space in the back of the body, and particularly the back of the heart space on the inhales, and you might explore a sense of the hips releasing a little more on the exhale. Okay, so from your downward dog, on your next exhale, draw the knees down to the mat. Draw your bum back to your heels. Draw the forehead to the mat, so you're coming into a child's pose, but take your knees out wide. So actually, sorry, before you draw your forehead down, you might want to just support yourself with your hands so that you can take the knees out about as wide as the mat, keeping the toes together, bum still on the heels, and then slide the hands forward, bring the forehead to the mat. So hands can just rest comfortably on the mat, however feels comfortable for you, or you might have the forearms underneath the forehead. That can feel really helpful in bringing the ground up to meet your head, and also help you create a better
a greater connection between bum and heels. Or you might take the arms back behind you, so they'll probably be kind of draped over the knees a little, but that can be really nice for just encouraging the shoulders to soften and release a little more. Just settling into the breath here. If it feels good to extend the inhale and the exhale here, then please do that. Continuing that exploration of space on the inhale. Sense of releasing and softening on the exhale. And now bring your hands alongside your head. Use an inhale to draw yourself up to seated. Take your legs out from under you. Bring the legs out in front of you. Check you can see me okay here. I think you can. Yeah. Okay. So legs are coming out in front of you and taking them out wide, not as wide as they will go, but just enough so that you start to feel a little bit of sensation in the inner thighs here. If you have just a small amount of height that you could place under the sit bones here, then I would really recommend doing that. Really helps to keep the lower back long and protected here, and just for the positioning to be more beneficial. Push out through the heels, toes pointing up towards the ceiling. Just have a bit of a wriggle on the sit bones if you need to. Hands can be resting wherever. And just take a moment here, inhaling, finding a bit more lift in the chest so you're keeping the spine long. Exhaling, can you soften down through the sit bones a little more while still staying active through the legs as you push out through the heels. Okay. Take an inhale. And then as you exhale, start to draw round towards the right. So as if you're trying to get the belly and the chest to line up with the right leg. That's the kind of direction you're heading in. Not that's where it ends up, but that's the direction you're heading in. Let the right hand come to rest by the right hip. Left hand can rest wherever feels comfortable. So it might be kind of somewhere out, sort of in the midline here, resting on the floor. Or maybe explore how it feels to take the left hand to rest on the right leg, maybe to the outside of the right leg, might be the outside of the right thigh, might even be round by the right waist. By resting on the leg might feel quite nice. A slight little bit of pressure of the left hand on the right leg might just help in encouraging you to ease around to the right a little more. So draw navel in towards spine here, so that again we're staying supported around the abdominal and lower back region. But just as we did with the twist at the start, maybe explore how it feels to just let the chest and the upper back release round a little more. Only if it feels like release, not if it feels like striving. And having the hand wherever feels comfortable, it might come a little further back to support this. If you can soften the right shoulder a bit more. And maybe just have an explore with the neck here. So you might find that your chin and your gaze is round towards the right shoulder. That's fine. But maybe also see what it feels like to draw the chin round and actually take it towards the left shoulder, just gently exploring. Lovely. Now inhale back to center. Take a couple of breaths there. By all means, relax the legs for a moment if you want to. Maybe even give them a bit of a pummel.
Now take an inhale, bring a lift to the chest. Exhale, drawing round towards the left. So draw navel in towards spine, so you're engaging the abdominal muscles to help you with that movement. Left hand comes to rest by the left hip, or maybe round towards the back more. And then just explore where the right, so it might feel really good to keep the right hand in the center, or you might explore bringing the right hand onto the left leg, using that press against the left leg to help explore a release of the chest round towards the left a little more. Keep pushing out through the heels, keep the legs active here. They're your support and stability. Keep using your inhales to find a bit more lift in the chest, so you're keeping the spine long. And again, you might explore how it feels to draw the chin to the left shoulder, and then maybe draw it round over towards the right shoulder. Okay, and then inhaling back to center. Okay. Take your hands underneath your thighs and use an inhale to draw your knees back in towards you. We'll just come into another Baddha konasana here, but from seated. So let the soles of the feet rest gently together and let the knees draw out to the sides. And you could take hold of the ankles here. And just explore what feels right for you. So the nice thing about taking hold of the ankles, or you might interlace fingers and take them around the feet. See what feels most helpful for you, and then using the press of the hands against the feet or the ankles to draw the shoulders back a little more, to bring a bit more lift in the chest, so that you're bringing that length to the lower spine. Very, very easy here otherwise to just really end up rounding and dumping weight into the lower back. And just see where it feels comfortable to have your feet. So it might feel lovely to have them close in towards you, bringing a bit more opening to the groins and the inner thighs. It might feel much better to have them further away from you. So you're still bringing plenty of opening here, but you're just allowing the spine to stay a bit longer. So there's quite a grip of the hands against the ankles or the feet, but can you still bring a sense of softness to the shoulders? Even though you're actively drawing the shoulders back and down a bit, can you allow on your next exhale a bit more softening? Inhale into that lift in the chest. So we're still inviting energy into the body here, but in a supported, gentle kind of a way. Either staying in stillness here for a few more breaths, or you might see how it feels to take a butterfly movement here with the knees, just gently flapping your wings, as it were. Just going really steady with that, exploring, seeing if that feels okay. So this is just a gentle movement if that feels welcome. Keep the back of the neck long and drawing in a little to help with that if you need to. Okay, and then coming back to stillness. A couple more breaths here. Okay, then exhaling, release. Make your way down onto your back. So we're coming towards our Shavasana. Grab anything that you might need for your Shavasana. And just take a moment when you're ready to hug your knees into your chest. So nice to take a position here where we're kind of inviting a bit more rounding into the spine after we've encouraged quite a lot of lift and opening across the chest and have been lengthening the spine. So you could either stay here with knees hugged into the chest like this, or
If it feels open to you, feels okay for your lower back and for your abdomen, you might draw navel in towards spine a bit more and use your next inhale to just raise your head and draw your forehead towards your knees. So you're encouraging a bit more rounding in the spine. Obviously, you're also bringing a bit of work into the abdominal muscles and the lower back muscles here. Okay, if you've raised your head towards your knees, then on your next exhale, release back down. Let's take a few more breaths with knees into the chest, either staying in stillness or you might take a gentle rock from side to side if that feels good. Or perhaps you might take some circles with the knees, so placing hands on the knees and just taking those circles, keeping the knees together but taking the circles one way and the other way. Another way you could get that kind of sense of massaging out the lower back maybe. Okay, and then exhale your feet back down onto the mat and make your way into your Shavasana. So just exploring, feeling your way into whatever position feels right for you today. And that might be different to yesterday, tomorrow. So just noticing maybe, like many of us, you might just automatically go into your standard Shavasana pose, but just take a moment to notice, is today a day where having knees resting together and taking the feet wide and allowing a real sense of release through the lower back feels good? Or is today a day where a supported Baddha konasana feels welcome if you're feeling like that opening around the hips and groins we've been working on feels welcome to you still? Or taking the legs out long, or maybe lying on your side or your front if that feels better for you. Once you're settled physically, come into stillness, closing your eyes or softening your gaze. Starting to use your breath just as you did at the start, when you settled in, starting to use your exhale to find softening. And still on the inhale, finding space. But just knowing that there doesn't need to be any effort involved there. Finding that spaciousness that's just there for you as you're supported and held by the ground now. Just enjoying, exploring that spaciousness on each natural inhale. So you might lengthen the inhale and the exhale if that feels good, or you might just allow the breath to be in this natural rhythm. Either way, using the inhale to notice, find, enjoy the space that you can breathe into. Using each exhale to find a sense of softening and releasing into the ground that's holding you, just a little more. You might continue with this practice of inhaling, finding space, exhaling, finding release. Or you might now bring your attention more fully to your breath,
Just allowing the breath in its natural rhythm to come in, to go out, dropping into that place of stillness in which you observe the breath, observe the mind. And however you're taking your Shavasana practice now, just knowing that this space is held for you. Starting to bring some deeper breaths into your body now. Slowly bringing some movement back to your body, maybe wiggling fingers and toes, perhaps rotating wrists and ankles. Taking any movements now, any stretches, anything that feels good as you bring your full awareness back to your body. If it feels welcome to roll over onto one side, then you might do that now and pause there for a couple of breaths. Slowly making your way back up to a comfortable seated position, keeping your eyes closed or having your gaze soft. If you set an intention for your practice today, then take a moment to recall that now. Bring the palms of the hands together in front of the heart. Take a moment to be grateful to yourself for showing up for this practice today. And a moment for us to be grateful that we have this practice of yoga available to us and that we're able to connect together and practice together in this way. And I invite you to think of anything else in your life that you're grateful for right now. Bowing your head down towards your fingertips. Namaste. Releasing when you're ready. Thank you, guys.